The sirens were already screaming down our street, red and blue lights bouncing off every porch. And I swear for a second I thought they were coming to drag my wife away in handcuffs over a stupid $90 HOA fine. But instead, in front of the whole neighborhood, the officers froze, stepped back from her, and addressed her with a title that made the HOA president's jaw hit the pavement. That was the moment the whole rotten empire of petty rules and clipboard power started to crumble. And I was right there watching it unfold. 3 months earlier, Amy and I had moved into what we thought was a fresh start. A house at 127 Willow Bend. The price was suspiciously low. The seller practically shoved the keys into our hands, but we told ourselves it was just luck. Amy had just been promoted to some government job she was vague about. And I figured, hey, new house, new chapter. The first week was great. Neighbors waved, we planted some flowers, even started fixing the old mailbox. Then Barbara Green appeared, mid-50s, highlighted bob haircut, clipboard glued to her hand. She introduced herself as HOA president like she was announcing a royal title. "Welcome to Maplewood Estates," she said with a smile that didn't reach her eyes, scanning our yard like a hawk hunting for mice. She handed me a 300-page packet of HOA guidelines, pages highlighted like the Bible at Sunday school. Vehicles must face east. Trash cans positioned at a 45-degree angle. No unapproved flowers. I laughed at first, thought it was a bad joke. Amy didn't laugh. That night, she was at her laptop, digging. 2 hours later, she told me about the family who lived here before us. The Andersons, and the accident with their daughter. An ambulance delayed by a blocked driveway. The girl survived, but her life was changed forever. And Barbara? She buried them in fines until they sold and fled. My wife's face was tight as she said, "Larry, that's why this house was cheap, and that's why Barbara wanted it." From that day on, Barbara was everywhere. She appeared out of nowhere while I was putting up new house numbers, tapping her clipboard, reminding me every modification needed forms and approval. She noted down our grass height, the direction our car faced, even the angle of our hose. It felt like living in a prison yard with her as warden. Amy. Though, she stayed calm, almost too calm, whispering to me, "Keep the camera rolling, keep her talking." I didn't understand why, but I trusted her. Still, each night I lay in bed wondering if we'd made a mistake buying this place. And worse, wondering if maybe Barbara was right. Maybe these rules did keep things orderly. Maybe we were the ones out of line. That's how far under my skin she got. Then came Councilman Bradley. One Thursday afternoon, Barbara showed up with him in tow. A slick guy in an expensive suit. Handshake like a used car salesman. "We've had 26 violations in just 3 weeks, Barbara declared, flipping through a binder thicker than a phone book. Photos of our mailbox. Time-stamped shots of Amy's car facing the wrong direction. Measurements of our grass. Bradley smiled that politician smile and explained the fines. Over $1,100 already. Plus a special $2,000 assessment for road repairs. My jaw dropped. Barbara leaned in, eyes glinting, and said, "Of course, you could always sell. I know buyers." That was the moment I realized it wasn't about grass or trash cans. It was about taking our house. I told her flat out we weren't selling. Her smile curdled into a sneer. "Then I suggest you start following the rules." When they left, I slumped into a chair, hands shaking. We couldn't pay that kind of money. Maybe she'd crush us like she did the Andersons. Maybe I'd dragged Amy into a nightmare that night. Though, Amy was studying the footage like it was evidence in a trial. "Bradley's nervous," she pointed out, zooming in on his fidgeting hands, the tan line where his wedding ring used to be. "He's vulnerable. Desperate people make mistakes." I stared at her, realizing this wasn't casual curiosity. She was building a case. And suddenly, I felt smaller, weaker. Was I even the man of this house, or just the guy holding the camera while my wife fought a war I barely understood? I thought about packing up, selling out, just running before Barbara bled us dry for the first time in years. I doubted everything, my choices, my strength, myself. I almost told Amy I wanted out. But then I saw her in the driveway at 3 in the morning, on the phone, whispering. If Barbara finds out who I really am before Tuesday, it all collapses. That one sentence lit a fire in me. Whoever my wife really was, she was fighting for us. And if she wasn't quitting, neither was I. Tuesday morning, Barbara stormed up the driveway, waving a yellow slip, screaming about unpaid fines. Neighbors peeked from behind curtains. Helen across the street paused, watering her roses just to watch. Amy stepped out calmly in jeans and a faded police academy shirt. Barbara shoved the paper at her, demanding $90 immediately. Amy said flat, "No." Barbara's face turned purple. "Then I'll call the cops." She dialed 911, her voice loud and dramatic, accusing Amy of threats and refusing lawful orders. I kept my phone recording from the window, heart pounding. 10 minutes later, Officer Thompson pulled up, tired eyes already irritated. Barbara rushed to him, shouting about grass height and mailbox colors. He looked at her like she'd lost her mind. "Ma'am, that's a civil matter," he said, but Barbara pushed, demanded Amy be arrested. That's when my wife stepped forward, pulled out her wallet, and flipped it open. The gold badge gleamed in the morning sun. "Chief Amy Scott," she said, her voice carrying across the yard. The crowd gasped. Barbara stumbled back, color draining from her face. I nearly dropped my phone. Amy laid it out then and there. The HOA charter had expired 2 years ago. Barbara had no authority. Every fine she'd issued was fraudulent. And then Amy pulled out bank statements showing Barbara funneling money to Bradley. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Helen spoke up, trembling but strong. "Barbara, you made me dig up my husband's memorial garden because the roses weren't approved. You're a monster." Others shouted too, families who'd been fined for birthday balloons, for driveway chalk, for nothing at all. Barbara shrieked that it was all lies, then slipped. If people followed the rules, that little girl wouldn't have nearly died. Silence fell. Amy's eyes locked on hers. "So you admit it. You let a child suffer because you were too busy writing citations." Barbara sputtered, backpedaled, but it was over. Thompson wrote everything down as Amy told him Barbara had just committed a false police report. Embezzlement. Operating an illegal HOA. He nodded, stone-faced. When he stepped toward her with cuffs, Barbara screamed, "You'll regret this. Without me, property values will crash." But nobody rushed to defend her. Not one neighbor. She was dragged away, still ranting about values and chaos, while the rest of us just stood there in stunned silence, watching the tyrant of our street finally lose her grip. I didn't cheer, didn't clap. I just breathed for what felt like the first time in weeks. My wife stood tall, shoulders back, and for the first time I understood. She hadn't just saved us. She'd ended a reign of fear that had strangled this place for years. As Barbara disappeared in the back of that patrol car, screaming into the void, I looked at Amy and realized something deeper. Sometimes the rules people worship are nothing but weapons in the hands of bullies. And the only way to beat them is to strip their power in the open. She had done that, and I finally found my spine again, standing beside her. And that's the story of how a petty $90 fine turned into the downfall of a woman who thought she owned us all. The lesson? Never let fear and fake rules control your life. Because, as I learned on HOA Drama Unfolded, the real value of a neighborhood isn't property values. It's freedom from people like her.